When life throws you a curveball, how are you going to handle adversity? Welcome to the Fearless Mindset Podcast, where you're about to go on a journey as I interview security, business, and entertainment leaders on what it takes to stay fearless. I'm your host, Mark Ledlow, and enjoy today's episode. For you guys tuning in, this is Mark Ledlow, the host of the Fearless Mindset Podcast, and we're broadcasting over with Kevin down in Mexico. And I cannot pronounce his last name because I don't want to embarrass myself.
Don't worry.
All respect. But he owns Help security company in Mexico. It's Help, and it stands for what?
Highly Effective Latin Protection Services. And that will be throughout Latin America. Anyway, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
And so if you're tuning
normally
in...
when we talk about Mexico, that's something interesting, food for thought. You know, Mexico for Latin America is North America. Yeah, so when we talk about North Americans, we include Mexicans there. Yeah, But again, Latin America is very vast. We're talking about almost 21 countries all together in the region, and so. But yeah, so it's more like Latin America in general. Yeah.
So I think it's a new problem in the industry is it's always been. I mean, I got into business when just MySpace. There was no Facebook, nothing. So you couldn't really do anything to get in trouble with, really. And then all of a sudden, Facebook launched. And then nobody really put anything out there up until I think the last 5 years or 6 years. People started posting their stuff. I'm like, uh-oh. And then you always hear the thing called OPSEC. And I'm like, some people have direct clients, have pictures with direct clients, and that's up to them whether or not they get photos. And then of course you get the haters out there that someone's having some success, and the client wanted a photo, and it happened to hit the massive world web. It gets out there, and of course the haters come out. Oh, you're not supposed to do that. And I see a new part of this executive protection kind of getting ugly. It's just you got some jealousy going on. You got some naysayers. You got some haters. Why are you saying that? Why are you doing that? Everybody's like, a second string quarterback. They want to be on the field. And heck, I got haters for having a podcast. Most of them are Marines. So, oh well. It just comes with the territory. But if you do anything in life, you're going to have haters. It doesn't matter if you're bodyguarding or become a successful business owner or billionaire. You rip somebody off to become a billionaire. So what is your advice to the younger generation regarding social media? And then if you have a company, for example, and you have stuff out there, for me, I try to stay apolitical because if you have clients that have opinions to the left or the right, you're just better off being neutral. I'd rather have the dollars than the political views. So feel free to explain your point of views on that.
Well, the world has changed, yeah. So social media is ubiquitous, and I guess nowadays for the younger generation, the beyond generation Z and all the centennials, there is a new generation that basically they live out of social media. It's like, again, I have teenager kids, yeah, and it's crazy because they sort of share their homeworks with their classmates through Instagram, yeah.
Really?
It's like what?
Wow, I didn't know that was a thing.
Just pass it this way, and it's like, yeah, my son, he gets invited to parties again and he gets added to social media groups in order to be into the party, and he has all this nice information that we wish we have had at our time, because immediately where there's going to be, who the house owner is, you see pictures of them, their family, blah blah blah, and all of that in their palm of the hands, really. So yeah, social media is here, will be here for a long time, I guess. The things that how we as an industry adapt to using it. Yeah. Now, for sure, you can be a influencer that educates, that somehow shares, creates knowledge, sparkles some thought. Or you could be an influencer that will be trying to just grab attention
Hmm.
or you can be a hater, a X type of a hater, and just try to backslash everyone.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is again that you don't believe, I guess, everything that is fed on to you through social media, for sure. Um, Try, of course, to again interact with the industry, with your partners, colleagues, and so in a respectful manner, because whatever you post on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or something will stay there forever, even if you delete it. Yeah,
Hmm.
there are several ways of having access to that. Now,
Hmm.
again, social media can, and that's something I've seen, and perhaps you yourself as well, it has sort of reinforced this image of EP as very, again, operational, and you see the guy with the dark sunglasses and the dark suit, and again, carrying AK-47s, or high caliber weapons, and jumping out of planes, and so that stereotype, which I believe is not good for the industry, has been reinforced in certain channels and through certain people. Yeah, so
Hmm.
many people, especially new to the industry, they tend to believe that is EP. That should be the training they should receive, tactical training, and again, driving vehicles, and doing all these funny stuff, with weapons and tactical gear, and so. Um, and honestly, I cannot. um I will count maybe with one hand the number of times where we have had to use this sort of that type of
Hmm.
deployment, yeah, on an EP detail. Most of the EP is more preventative, is more about service, is more about attention to details, logistics, and again, proving your importance to the business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. The social media has definitely changed the whole way the industry interacts with each other on these, on these Facebook private groups. And it's like, what the heck? What's going on? And you can tell when it's slow in the industry because the amount of people that are on social media sites interacting with each other as soon as the post is up, I'm like tell myself, people must be bored because they may not be working. If they're on social media interacting, hanging out, responding within 1 minute you post something, that tells me people aren't that busy right now. And I think the industry is kind of slowed down a lot. And how I can tell that just by watching LinkedIn or Facebook, I just know. I'm like, okay, it's really slow out there because everybody's got way too much time on their hands.
Yeah, I know where you're at. Yeah, and we have seen these people that, of course, even though they are supposed to be managers, EP managers for Fortune 100 companies, and they just spend all their day, I guess, back on LinkedIn, posting back and forth, and so
Yeah,
yeah, of course, that's very much unreal. I cannot really see where they find time for that. Um,
I don't get it.
Again, in my particular case, as a volunteer leader, because of course, as you did mention, I do a lot of volunteer work at ASIS and IFPO, the International Foundation for Protection Officers. When I
Hmm.
have to be there, I have to always sort of interact, engage, and so. Um, but I find it tasking. Yeah, I cannot really find time in the day to do that. There's some times where I react to some posts or some messages 4 or 5 days after, or something. Yeah, because you're busy. Yeah, sometimes you're on the road anyway. Yeah,
Yeah, did you see that post? I'm like, no, I haven't looked at it in like 5 days. What happened?
yeah,
I'm like, you need to get on it. I'm like, on what?
that's
Yeah,
true.
it's a weird part of business now, communications, and marketing and all that. Yeah, how do you've been involved with ASIS for quite a long time. You're VP chair or something like that over there?
Yeah, I've been an ASAS member for more than 20 years now,
Mm. Okay.
and yes, I pretty much serve in different roles on the association. Local chapters, regional level, and so. And yeah, in the past few years, I was very involved with the EP Council that then turned into community.
Hmm.
And nowadays, I'm the chair of the executive protection community, the global executive protection community at ASAS.
Wow. How do you like that? What has that done for your business by being involved with that organization?
I always say that when you volunteer your time, you get pretty much the same amount as you give. Yeah. So the more I give, the more time I spend, the more
Mm-hmm.
I engage with members, assisting them. In many cases, mentoring, coaching,
Mm-hmm.
just engaging with them. I get to know people on a different level. I
Sure.
get to make longer standing relationships. Yeah. And I'll say that that actually increase my network very well. There's a lot of people that know me, know my capabilities, know what I can do, which is great. There's a lot of people that respect me from my thoughts. Yeah. And that's very good. Now I had also been able to somehow keep on the loop with everything that's going on in the industry, and changes and proposed standards that are going to go out there very soon. And yeah, I'll say that I perhaps now, again, being 25 years in the industry altogether, I tend to see myself more of an educator. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I see a lot of young fellows there that do need the coaching, the mentoring, the training, the support, the guidance. And yeah, so I very much like that. This is a calling for me.
It is truly a calling because you gotta have that servant heart or leadership heart to serve others and make others want to succeed. And a lot of people don't have that intention in this industry. I would say it's pretty most. I think in this industry, if they're alpha personality, it's more self-serving with that personality trait versus serving others. But I think, like you said, the more you give, the more you get back. Especially with as is. Chuck even said, "Hey, amount of time and money I put into this organization, I've gotten back tenfold."
Yeah.
You just got to put your time into, show up, get to know people, and that's what it is about: networking, creating those trust relationships. You have to spend years and years building the trust relationships, then the phone calls start coming in. Hey, can you help us here? And then the business itself, comes back over the years while you sow those seeds as a farmer, and then it comes back as a plant.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, yeah, somehow I got to meet some very, very important stakeholders in the industry worldwide. Yeah. So I have a
Mm-hmm.
very, very global network, really. Um, and yeah, just as you said, I always tend to give and give and give, and if possible, I give more. So the people at my office, they tend to get upset because every time I go out on a event, or perhaps to a convention or something, I always get engaged on speaking about ASIS, IFPO. I'm a big, again, supporter of the International Foundation for Protection Officers. That's
Mm-hmm.
boots on the ground personnel. And yeah, I get engaged in that. I get all excited. And when I come back, after a trip, they say, okay, so how many actual business meetings did you get? And I was like, oops, sort of forgot that I have to bring food to my table. Yeah.
But it's true though. I get the same thing from my team. We spend a lot. We're invested in ATAP quite a bit, and then of course with Chuck Andrews, GSX. That's as is, and my team is like, "Where's the value? Where's the value? You go to all these conferences. You need to stop spending money and stop going to these conferences. Like, if you don't build relationships, the calls will not come in. You just got to build relationships with people, and it happens face to face." And then I'm
Yeah.
like, okay. And then you have to give them an example. Okay, remember when we went to ATAP and met X client? Well, it took 6 months to a year to get that client. Now look how much business we're getting from that client. Okay, but it takes 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just
No, I know.
it's not it's not a high transactional type of business. And that's where I think people go wrong in opening up their own shops, thinking they're going to get all this business by going to a conference. People, they're going to watch you because people in this industry are naturally skeptical. They don't trust people naturally. They just don't. And so it takes 6 months to a year to get that trust, get the vendor package submitted, and then you get approved. Then a year later, oh, wow, we just did X amount of dollars per month in business. And it just takes time. You have to play the long game in this industry.
Yeah. Yeah. In I would say that if you want to be a player in the industry, you have to go there and be on the field. Yeah. Be
Mm-hmm.
where the actual stakeholders are. Yeah,
absolutely.
and for me will be more of a trip than for you again. Yeah, and in my case, I did have a share of situations where I couldn't attend a conference because it was just too expensive,
Hmm.
travel costs,
Yeah.
distance, hours, and so. Um, and yeah, exactly. I wish I would be more close to where the action is, yeah, which is normally in the US, yeah.
So you'd say most of your business is US based?
Um, maybe a big 70% will be
That's a lot.
North America in general. So we get
Wow.
we get actually some business from Mexico, from Canada, from the
Okay.
US, yeah.
Okay.
And then perhaps a 20% from Europe and a 10% from Asia and the rest, yeah.
Would you say, here's just a curious on industry sectors that are hot. Would you say tech is probably your biggest request for support? Is the tech industry out of the Bay Area?
we get we got a lot of requests for supporting tech companies last year. Yes, that's a trend that's going up a lot. But we also get a lot of requests from extractive industries. Oil mining. They're,
Oh,
they're
okay.
always looking for the next place to invest to again
Hmm.
create their operations. Right now Guyana is a very hot place, and everyone wants to have a piece of the oil that is in Guyana. So it's a big thing for us. We do have a big nice operation in Trinidad or Tobago.
Hmm.
Peru, Chile, with all the mining, that's also very big. Plus, interesting enough, a portion of what we got will be also news outlets. Yeah,
Media.
this media and media altogether that are basically working here. Um, we haven't really had much really last year. That's sort of going down a little bit, but we did have a or big portion of ultra high net worth families that come here for leisure to Argentina, to Ecuador, Galapagos Islands, to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
So we serve a lot of that. Again, that's something that we have done a lot. Again, 25 years. So you
That's a
name
long
it.
time.
I've been everywhere in the region. I have had all types of different crazy requests, and I've been in some very very dangerous places. Yeah, I live right now in a very dangerous place. Yeah, Ecuador. I believe is going to be ranked again this year as one of the most unsafe countries in the world.
Ecuador is?
Ecuador, yes,
I
because
did not
of
know that.
the number of assassinations per 100,000 inhabitants. We are way up at the mark of 55, 60.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's big. Yeah. So, so,
Dang.
so you have an idea. A country in Europe will be at 5, 6. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I believe the US in general is in about 12. Yeah, some cities, of course, will go up to
Mm-hmm.
40 or something, but we have a solid share of violence in Ecuador. I travel very often to Colombia, to Peru as well,
Oh, do
and
you?
it's sad to see that this is a trend in the region. Yeah, again, narco related criminal organizations pretty much all over the region. Yeah.
Going at it for control,
Yep.
dominance,
Exactly.
distribution rights,
Yes.
scope by blood to make the payment on the distribution rights. Probably. What is the biggest the industry in Mexico and South America? I'm assuming it's the cartel and drug stuff.
Um, Interesting enough, they did a survey on that last year, I believe, or 2 years ago in Mexico, and it seemed to be that the drug dealing industry was the third largest employer in the country.
Drug industry.
Yes, third largest employer. Yeah.
I believe it.
So be beyond general industry, because in Mexico we have lots of industry, agriculture and oil. Yeah. So
Mm.
that was right there, ranking right there. So yeah, normally in our part of the world, we are in general, I'll say throughout Latin America, more
Yeah,
about raw material resources,
mining.
from mining,
Mhm.
oil, agriculture, and so yeah.
Yeah, you have there's a lot of oil I heard down there. And I think heard the Russians have like a base down there somewhere. I don't know if that's misinformation propaganda, but
Yeah, yeah. Venezuela is very, very close to Cuba and Russia.
they
Yeah,
are very close. Got it.
very close, very
Uh,
close, and they get support funds from Russia altogether. Yeah,
okay.
politically and economically. So yeah, China is growing its influence throughout Latin America. So yeah, they have their big share of presence throughout the region. In some countries, a lot more. In some countries, a lot less. It has to
Mhm.
do with politics, anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got that stuff going on with Panama, or Trump wants to take the Panama Canal back or something. So that's going to be wild, and see how that affects business
Yeah.
movements and
Yeah. The thing is
protection.
that the Chinese, they had been very big on trading, and they have grown
Yeah.
enough to try to impose their own I guess decisions and needs to the Panama Channel Authority, and so yes. Again, that's business, but now that's
Business
also a
strategy.
situation.
That's how it works.
The current U.S. administration wants to regain some of that control. Um, Panama is a very Americanized country. They
Hmm.
use U.S. dollar as the currency.
Right.
Um, the same as in Ecuador. In Ecuador, we also have U.S. dollar as a currency.
Oh, you do?
We're very close. We have very close ties to the U.S. in general. Yeah,
Okay.
but then again, unlike Panama, I'll say Colombia, Brazil, Venezuela for sure.
Hmm.
They're pulling down to the left, yeah, an extreme
Hmm.
left. Some of these countries are um borderline socialist, really nowadays.
Haven't they realized it doesn't work?
The the people on the street, the ones that have to find a way to live with eight
Not,
US dollar a month.
wow.
They know that it doesn't work, but the elites, the rulers, the emperors of those countries, uh, they
They
have
control.
unlimited resources because again, those are very wealthy countries regarding natural resources, and
Yeah.
so I had this situation just a year, about 12 months ago, 13 months ago. I was
Hmm.
in Venezuela. There was this crazy situation where they found out that there was a high ranking officer that embezzled 60,000 million US dollars. Yeah.
Whoa.
So that's
Wow.
a lot of money, lots of zeros. Yeah.
Hmm.
And he just managed a way to get his own personal share of the oil industry. But we're talking about, again, 60 billion US dollars there. That were hidden somewhere in
Wow.
the Middle East and China. So yeah, those, I guess, those people, for them, socialism work very well.
Makes sense. Survival. It's all about survival out there.
Yeah,
But we said a key thing, like what was it? $8, US $8
for
in
a
US
month.
currency in
That's
a month
yeah,
is what they live
that's
on.
the current minimum salary in Venezuela.
Wow.
In Argentina, before Milei, economics in Argentina were crazy. Yeah, in Argentina, we were talking about a 25,000% inflation. Yeah. So those are crazy numbers. Yeah, crazy things.
Wow.
You get your
Poverty.
pesos. Yeah, you get your pesos that will be worth next amount, and in the afternoon they will be worth one third or one fourth. Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. And most Americans can't comprehend that.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say that to some extent, many people, especially in the U.S., are spoiled in a sense
Yeah,
that they
absolutely.
you get some things for granted. Yeah,
Yep, we do.
and yeah, it's crazy little things like you cannot really walk down the street with your cell phone. If you have an iPhone on your hand, is a 95% chance that you will get robbed at gunpoint within a couple of hours, maybe. Um, plus, also going back to the business, to the industry, um, you know, back in the US, you can always find the black SUV, large SUV, suburban in every city. Very simple, very easy. Try
Hmm.
to do that in the middle of the Amazon jungle. Try to do that in Cusco, in Peru. Try to do that in Guatemala City. Sometimes it's tasking, yeah. But I
Wow.
normally get to manage that. Yeah,
That's the reality. I mean, that's the hard reality of life, cost of living and lifestyle down there. And like you said,
yeah,
most Americans wouldn't even be able to comprehend it. I know when I was down there in Managua, Nicaragua, with the Marine Corps, we did a humanitarian effort. I was like shocked in how people lived in those shacks, whatever they lived in. It's like, whoa, that's their reality. And I'm
yeah,
like, whoa, it just, it was humbling being American, being a Marine down there on a mission. I'm like, okay, this is how people live. It's just like, whoa, it just kind of shocked your brain because you don't see that type of thing.
yeah. That's true. That's true. So yeah, we can get to see firsthand the differences,
Hmm.
of wealthy people that have certain privileges and those that don't.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's it is a different part of the world. Now you get your bonuses, which on the other hand are great weather, and I guess with great weather we get a lot of positive vibes on people. We're very happy, joking, friendly, really friendly, very nice, and
Hmm.
in many cases, I regularly have to go to very poor suburbs, slums,
Right.
and you see them happy, smiling with what they
Yeah.
have, and dancing to music. So yeah, different way of seeing
Wild.
life.
It is absolutely. Hey, do you have any parting words for the audience? Any plug you want to do before you wrap up the show, and any advice to people in the industry?
Yeah, well, my call has been again for the last year to try to elevate the conversations in EP again from operational level. Yeah,
Hmm.
where of course I'm very well skilled. I just got my expert shooter license from NRA, and so. But again, going beyond that operational level conversation into a more tactical and even strategic level conversation. That's something that we need as an industry. That's what we need to be again more visible to clients.
Hmm.
That's what we need again to make our industry more I'll say resilient in the longer term. Yeah,
Yeah.
because right now, because of everything that happened at the end of 2024, you can get a call from a client saying, yeah, we need an EP guy right now, and send somewhere here, and be here, but after the rush, after the trouble they felt, after the fear they felt, um, if you do not prove your own value to the company, to the client, you will be dismissed. Yeah, very
Hmm.
fast. So again, understanding that EP again has a more strategic side is something important. Yeah. So you did mention I wrote a series of books. I already published one of them. The others are in the queue. So yeah, getting to read maybe a bit of books that are beyond war stories on EP and more
Hmm.
about again the hard stuff. Sometimes difficult to assimilate. Data, numbers, matrices, parameters, quality management systems, governance. Yeah, so those will be some of the things that I would recommend people to start looking into.
Yeah. Your books where are they published at online on Amazon, or where can they
Amazon,
find them?
Amazon. Yeah, you
Amazon.
can get
Okay.
it from Amazon. That's the best way.
Okay.
So you can get it on Kindle, I guess, immediately, or you can get it printed and delivered there. I
Okay.
prefer to do it on Amazon because that has a global reach.
Absolutely.
I'm not a bookseller. That's also very important to
Yeah.
say. Um, to be honest, and I can tell you, and I can prove it. You see, from every book I sell in Amazon, I get back about $8, $5 to $8, something like that.
Okay.
Just the you see the editing and the graphic designing of my book costed me money out of pocket, about $15,000. Yeah, so there's
Wow.
no way I will get all that investment back. Yeah, by
Right.
selling books.
Sure.
Anyway, I did it as a contribution to the industry, because again, as I told you, I do believe that we need to talk more about that level of EP. Yeah.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, by all means, go uh, grab a book, read about that. It will be interesting. Yeah. My plans in the so anyway, Amazon. You can just find me on Amazon. You look for EPRM. That stands for Executive Protection Risk Management. EPRM.
Okay.
Kevin Palacios. Yeah. First book is for the EP manager, so the EPM. And then this year I have started again working on putting a lot of these frameworks, numbers, parameters, calculations into action through artificial intelligence. So that's
Nice.
another thing I will recommend people to start looking at. Yeah, how to embed, you see, deep thinking and how to embed data analysis and all that into your EP operations. Yeah, some people get bored of that. Some people look at me and they say, "Yeah, you frighten me. Yeah, you look like my high school math professor or something like that." But
That's where it's going.
sadly, we need to do a bit more of that in our industry as well.
That's where the business is going. AI and uh, knowing software systems that can support your clients out there and how they can reach you. And it's that's definitely where it's heading. And I'd advise people, agents listening to this, get into intelligence versus becoming a body agent, and do some studying and figure out how you can cross train, I guess is the best word to use, to get into protective intelligence. Like, there's several folks that offer that stuff out there, and it's just, I think that's where the future is going in this industry.
That's true, 100%. I agree.
And where can people find you on? You said your website for your company, and you're on LinkedIn too, as well as, right?
Yeah. So my company, again, we are vendors throughout Latin
Vendor.
America. That's simple to find. It will be latam.expert. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you ever need someone who knows Latin America, that will be me. So it will be latam.expert. Yeah. That's for the company, for helps. If you want to know more about my writing and my research on data-driven decision making on EP, you can look for EPRM dot online. Yeah, so EPRM, Executive Risk Management dot online. And yeah, normally you can find me in all social networks. I usually am very busy on LinkedIn. That's my preferred network. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you can find me in all others. Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and so. Yeah. Even though I believe I have like 10 subscribers. Yeah.
Oh well.
You have 100,000. Incredible. Anyways. Yeah.
YouTube, yeah. I don't have that many in Facebook and all that. Facebook is more for family and friends, and the YouTube thing is more for more marketing purposes. This podcast will be on the YouTube channel under Mark Ledlow, and this podcast is sponsored by Ledlow Security Group. So we're licensed in 3 states, going on 5 more states this year, and working on that project. And you can find this podcast also on all the podcast platforms as the Fearless Mindset, and it's also a trademark. So everybody, thanks for tuning in and listening to our conversation with Kevin. And hopefully, it didn't bore you too much with the exciting stuff that's happening in Latin America, South America, but it's going to be changing quickly with the new administration. So hang on tight, and I'm sure keep an eye on Kevin's LinkedIn post. He'll give you some ideas, advice on how to function down there. If you need help, reach out to him. Thanks again for supporting the show, and we'll catch you on the next episode. See you soon.